Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Scroll Soup. I'm Blake.
I'm Kieran.
And I'm Mason.
Welcome back to the show. Now, before we start, because we didn't do this last week, I'd like to wish Morand a very happy 20th birthday.
Yeah, it can nearly drink in most U.S. states next year, I suppose.
I can already drink
Um,
over here.
it can already drink in most first world countries. Um,
In
yeah,
1 year, it'll get a pay rise.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's almost there. And
No,
Bethesda, as per Bethesda fashion, have done nothing.
Yep, of course. They
No,
haven't even
really.
said anything.
The actual Morand fan community have released a book.
Yeah,
If you
all
want to
good
check
art
that
there.
out, you have a look online.
Yeah, I think the legendary Mickey D has a page or two in there.
Oh, does he?
He does.
interesting.
Um, yeah. So today's topic of discussion, we're going to talk about our favorite Daedric Princes, and we're kind of going to have a bit of a discussion about them, and at the end, kind of decide which ones have the best overall power, amount of worshippers, which is the funniest, the most badass, coolest artifacts, that kind of thing. So yeah, anyone else like to start, or should I?
You can start, Sean.
Right. So in Bushman fashion, I really like her scene. Her scene, for those who don't know, is kind of the Daedric Prince of the Wild. He's featured heavily in one of the expansions for Morrowind, though I haven't actually gotten to play that one yet.
It
Blood
is
Moon
very
is
good.
installed him.
Mm.
And he's kind of most well known for lycanthropy and that kind of thing. He's known as like the father of man beasts, and stuff like that. Very cool Daedric Prince, in my opinion.
Mm.
Um,
Plays a semi big role in the companions
yes, yeah,
side quests
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
in Skyrim. Spoilers for that, I suppose, but I
Yeah,
think everyone knows of that.
yeah. So, like, one of the main reasons I really like her scene is he's one of the most fair and honorable Daedric princes. Like, he doesn't screw people over for the sake of screwing people over. If for whatever reason you get drawn into his hunting grounds for, um, like blood sport, even if you are the prey, you always have the opportunity to escape. There's always a chance. It's fair sport.
Well,
He doesn't like having the odds stacked against you.
Well, in Morrowind, when you get dragged into that hunt, it's completely unaware. When I played it, I did not have any healing potions on me or anything. I was dragged in, and I had to fight fucking level 30 werewolves. It was painful.
Well, you made it through, didn't you? So there's always
Just
there's
about.
always a there's always a way for you to make it through, and that's one of his main things is kind of, if you do best him, like the story with the Savior's hide, which is kind of his most important artifact, the Savior's hide. It's actually his own skin that he peels off.
Oh,
Yeah, he peels off his own skin, and who does he give it to again? I forget. But you get it in Morrowind anyway, I believe, at the end of the quest, don't you?
you do fight him at the end.
Yeah, so I believe at the end he gives it to you, but it's actually made out of his own skin, apparently. So
Imagine popping that in the fryer and making some pork cracklings out of
oh,
that.
lovely. Yeah.
Tasty.
He also just looks really cool, like especially the art from Daggerfall. I really like. Just glistening abs, a wolf on a lead, and like deer antlers. Glistening abs will always do it for you. I think. Yeah, and he's also heavily revered by the Reach folk, who are, in my opinion, very like underexplored in Skyrim. I wish we got more of them. Hopefully, we'll get more in the next game.
Completely agree.
He is like their most important Daedric prince. He's they're very tribal. They rely on hunting for a lot of their food, and they view him as like one of their greatest teachers when it comes to survival and all that kind of thing.
Definitely. I'd also like to say it's a very cool, simple Daedric artifact in his spear.
Oh, the Spear of Bitter Mercy, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that is also quite cool. Pretty much just a regular old spear. Since the newer games don't have it, it's only in Morrowind and I think Battlespire.
The greatest Elder Scrolls game,
Yeah,
Battlespire.
it can.
They're all on Steam now.
Some Storm after neck. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I need to play Battlespire. I wonder if the multiplayer works.
Oh no.
I get a playthrough going. I don't think it has like co-op though, does it?
Imagine we wait 3 more years for the Elder Scrolls 6, and it turns out to be a multiplayer game like Fallout 76.
Oh my god.
Split
That would be
screen.
awful.
Oh,
Yeah. So of course he's very important for lycanthropes. So as you said, the companions rely on him for their lycanthropy. And he's also responsible for all the other werebeasts, including were-boars, were-bears, were-lions, and I believe elsewhere, and were-crocodiles in Blackmarsh.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I also believe he's highly venerated by the centaurs and the Wood Elves.
Yeah, he does kind of have support, I believe, from the centaurs. I'm not sure about the Wood Elves actually. I hadn't heard that, but possibly.
It would definitely feel like the type of.
He definitely seems like the type, but Ifri would be like the main one for the Wood Elves I know. But I'm actually not sure about their relation to Daedra. I never really looked into it, I guess.
I think all I know about them is that they're cannibals.
Yeah.
And in Oblivion and Morrowind, they're really short.
Yeah. Which is just how they should be, in my opinion.
Halflings.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like the main things about him. He doesn't have a lot of worshippers. He's kind of like one of the more niche princes, but he's definitely very cool, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. If no one has any issues, I'll go ahead and start my vote. And
go ahead.
I'd go ahead and cast my vote for more like Ball. The Dark Daedric Prince, we all know, with such titles as the King of Strife, the Schemer Prince, Harvester of Souls, and King of the Bad Touch, we'll say.
Yes.
The Struggle Snuggle.
But yes, he's probably your atypical, evil demon lord, in a sense.
Yeah.
Being the prince of corruption and just downright enslavement. His realm, Cold Harbor, is just basically an evil, twisted version of Nirn, down to the buildings and everything. Even the creator of vampires and semi-connection to undead in general, to an effect, definitely gives him that just down evil aesthetic. I would also say he has quite an interesting, or at least cool, Daedric artifact with the Mace of Molag Bal. At least in Skyrim, I'd say it's a very powerful one. Just being able to drain magicka.
It's also
very
a
good
great
against
quest.
True.
Yeah.
That is one of the highlights of the Dawn Guard. No, sorry, it's not in Dawn Guard, is it? It's base game.
I think that's in the base game, yeah.
It is in the base game.
My mistake.
But with regards to Dawn Guard, if it wasn't for Molag Bal, that we wouldn't have that amazing questline.
That is true.
That should have been the main game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's better than just fight dragon in Valhalla.
Kill dragon. Monk.
Very true. But yeah, he does play an interesting role in that, I would say. Yes, he's also seen as one of the four corners of the House of Troubles in Morrowind. And you could definitely feel that his presence in most of the games, I would say. There's like this big thread. Definitely in, I believe it's Elder Scrolls Online, for the main quest of it, he is the main antagonist of the game.
Yeah. He's trying to perform the plane meld.
So it always feels like in any game that he's in, he's always a looming threat. Just always on the cusp. Maybe not the main antagonist always, but he always...
He's always got a tie in there with something bad that's going on, whether it's vampires or trying to take over the world.
Definitely. Because I don't think there's anything remotely redeemable about his actions. You can't say, "Oh well, at least he does this or gives this." Not really.
No,
It's
he's
just
kind of
Just evil.
he's just
Yeah.
not very nice. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially with his like even in Morrowind, he's part of the House of Troubles. So you're kind of told, yeah, even like the Dunmer, who aren't the most immorally brilliant
They
group
worship
of
the
people
Daedric
ever.
Princes.
They worship Boethia, Mephala, and Azura. Well, the tribunal at the time of the game, but you know, even they are like, okay, these guys are kind of bad.
Yeah, just don't look at them ones. Just
Yeah.
Put those ones aside.
we do not do that here.
Now saying that again, like the Ashlanders still kind of venerate them in the way you could try to appease like an evil spirit or something, where they will leave like sacrifices for them. Other than
True.
that, they stay away from them as much as they can.
I would.
Mm.
Only good thing he's done. Only good thing he's done is he's the reason we have Serana as a companion.
Yeah.
In
Actually, in a roundabout way, he is also the reason that Mehrunes Dagon exists.
Not know that.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Basically, in a previous Kalpa, getting into deep lore here, previous world cycle, when the dregs from Morrowind and in Oblivion,
Yeah.
they had like dominion of the world. They were the most dominant race, and their king was Molag Bal. And the Magna Gi created a Daedric Prince of Hope, who is Mehrunes Dagon, but he kind of backfired on him a little bit and became the Daedric Prince of Revolution, Destruction, and Hope. So you can't have some of those things without the others. Yeah, in a roundabout way, he did lead to the creation of Mehrunes Dagon.
Elaborating on his connection to the Dreg, it was during the early Second Era, I believe, through their worship of the Dreg, through the worship of Molag Bal, he was able to create this manifestation of himself known as the Ruddy Man,
Yes,
which was
yeah.
essentially this demonic version of a Dreg that
Yeah.
caused chaos around Morrowind until
Was it
Vivek.
Vivek that beat it? Yeah.
Yes,
It was, yeah.
Heard of that. Yeah.
It's actually the whole reason for chitin armor, essentially.
Oh.
Really, yeah.
Basically, I think it was that when he defeated him, Vivek basically carved his skin into armor, and it inspired the Dunmer to make it into a normal practice.
Because the way he was created was a child put on the shell to try scare his friends or whatever. But of course, putting on the skin of a Daedric prince can just lead, especially one of domination like that. It wasn't going to end well for the poor little guy, and he kind of got overtaken and had to be defeated. And actually, where he was fought by Vivek in the West Gash in Morrowind in Vardenfell, it's there's urban legend or legend at the up till modern times that you can still hear the sound of Vivek's sword scraping across carapace, echoes of battle, that kind of thing.
Beautiful.
But yeah, Molag Bal, just evil guy.
Evil guy, pretty much your archetypical Daedric demon prince.
Yeah. And for mine, I've gone for a bit of the opposite. I've gone for one of the more popular ones and it's a lot of people's favourite. I'm a big Azora guy.
Mm-hmm.
I love Azora. It's as you probably all realise, I mostly play Morrowind than any other Elder Scrolls, and the fact that she's there with you from start to finish, sort of helping you, but not directly a lot of the time. It's usually indirectly weaving your way through. And I love some of the quotes at the beginning she says to you, and as you go through it, I think she's just absolutely fantastic. She's the Daedric Princess Gundorn, all about transition and change. So whenever she comes in, shit's about to go down, and something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And in the main quest of Morrowind, there's just so much stuff I love. Where especially at the end of the main quest. Spoilers if you haven't played a 20-year-old game there yet, but she meets you at the end after you finish Dagoth Ur. It's like, finally you've accomplished the Nerevarine prophecy, which that prophecy was that she would get revenge on the tribunal on Dagoth Ur for turning themselves into gods. Because, as you probably already know by now, back in, was it the Second Age, the Battle of Red Mountain?
Second era,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. No, wait. Was it actually the first era? I believe.
One of the eras. The Battle of Red Mountain, after the
Yeah, it was first
the
era.
tribunal betrayed Nerevar. Azora,
punishing
the people, instead of punishing the people directly responsible, she punishes the entire race of the Kai'Ma and turns them into the Dunmer. And they used to be like gold skinned, and she turned them grey skinned with red eyes, you know.
Yeah, first era 700.
First era 700.
Battle of Red Mountain.
She does not take any shit.
Yeah, she
really does. Like, right, fuck you all. Bang.
Yeah, actually, when it comes to changing races, she's responsible for the Khajiit as well, according to their mythos.
Yeah,
where she created them out of wood elves. So basically, she took some wood elves and made them, to paraphrase the Khajiit myth, the like prettiest, smartest, and best climbers, so that they could look after the moons, which they call Joan and Jode, but most other races know as Master and Secunda.
Yeah.
Quite a habit of causing mutation.
Yeah, and she is one of those Daedric Princes that is overall kind of benevolent as well.
Yeah, but like she's also good. Like,
yeah,
so like, she's nice.
Yeah, she kind of, not that she's the mortal's best interest at heart, but if you worship her, she'll look after you.
Yeah.
Like she looks out for her followers.
I think one thing I love about her is so she has this whole thing about, like, so she created the Nerevarine prophecy, and then she enacted it herself. Is that just a prophecy, or is she just saying what she's going to be doing later?
At that point, it's just like making a plan, really, and just telling other people about it.
So, right, I'm gonna get this right.
Emphasizing, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then going to the bathroom.
Yeah. So I'm going to get a prisoner. Hello, prisoner. You're now my champion. Go do a job.
Well, I suppose it's a question of, like, how do legends start, especially when it comes to gods, given they are essentially outside of time.
Yeah.
You know, could you say that all legends are sort of just put there by a higher being in order to fulfill some form of purpose?
Yeah, because they are like experiencing time all at once, essentially. Or there's one quote, I can't remember, was it from Azura, or was it Meridia, where they say like what might weigh on the conscience of a mortal for only a moment weighs on like a Daedric Prince for eternity, or something like that.
I can't remember who said that.
Yeah, I remember. I get very, very bad at remembering who says the quotes.
Yeah, I just imagine it as like a long game of dominoes for them.
Yeah.
One thing I also like is how she at the end of the main quest, she basically tells you there's still some work that needs to be done, hinting that you need to kill the tribunal for her. It's like, go on, please do it.
Off you go, off you pop.
And the goddess of change, make some change.
Here's a knife, off you go.
Well, speaking of knives, her items, I quite like. So obviously in every Elder Scrolls you've got Azura's Star, which, if you're playing Conjuration, is just always useful.
Mm-hmm.
Morrowind, you can even hold Vivek and Almalexia's souls inside that.
Yeah.
Inside Azura's Star. It's that powerful. And personally, I really like the Ring of Azura, which you get right at the end of Morrowind as a bit of a reward. Mm-hmm. Which it doesn't do much. It grants you a bit of night eye, so the game's just brighter. And also gives you restore fatigue constantly, which is really useful. Yes. But it's a small fact that you finish the main quest, she drips you out. You know,
leaving the game allows you to change brightness settings.
Actually, for anyone interested, I recommend going to the ElderScrollsFandom.com to the Azura page and scrolling down to the Invocations section, where there's a lovely depiction of her from Daggerfall.
Oh my god.
Let's just say we're lucky this is a podcast and nobody can see that.
I like the statues of her from Skyrim though. They're nice.
Yeah,
she's holding the sun and the moon.
Yeah,
it's like,
they're regal and beautiful and elegant.
And Daggerfall, it's just no top.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
Yeah, it was. Typical Debella worshipper. Just
Uh,
Yeah,
yes, I was. A
that's my
thought
vote on this
occurred
one.
to me about Boethiah as the goddess or the Prince of Change is that she's almost, in a sense, a nicer version of Mehrunes Dagon. Just because
that's true. Yeah.
she brings change in a much more peaceful, less violent, like accord.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no revolution involved. It's kind of just like,
Yeah.
hey, here's some change. Kind of make it happen.
It's almost similar to the dichotomy of Ares and Athena in Greek mythology.
Yes.
How they're both gods of war, but they go about it in much different ways. How Athena
Yeah.
is about smart war, tactics, outmaneuvering your opponent, while Ares is about that more brutalistic, just
Just get it done, get in there, kill all the people, and win.
exactly.
Well, I was I was reading the Iliad a few weeks ago, and one of the chapters is like, so it has like Athena and that all going behind the enemy ranks, talking to each other. I think Hera was involved as well, and they're all like convincing to go for a fight. Ares just becomes mortal form, goes right, everyone, charge, and just the whole Trojan army just charges forward. But yeah,
Yes.
I see that. I see that. I think a lot of them are genuinely based off Greek mythology. And
Yeah, of
different.
course. There's a lot of inspiration there.
Mm,
And that's the thing with the Daedric princes as gods is they're a lot more like characters than say a lot of the Adric gods are, because the
yeah.
Aedra are essentially dead. You know, like that's why Shore and Stun are all in Sovngarde when you go there. Like they're dead gods. They're
Mm,
Lorcan and Stendar essentially. But the Nordic interpretations of them, they're in Sovngarde because they are dead. Like no Adric god really answers prayers. They still have sway and power, of course, because they're worshipped, but
Mm.
it's not in the same way Daedra do.
It also feels like the Aedra are very malleable in a
Yeah,
sense by worshippers interpreting them in a certain way allows them to actually
yeah,
change.
actually be that way that they're interpreted. While
Mm.
while the Daedra are kind of their own people, they are a being, and even if the Khajiit have a different interpretation of Azura, when she appears even to a Khajiit, will be this, regal being
mm.
in a dress or whatever, with like a booming female voice or whatever. Um, she appears her way. Now, of course, she can change it depending who she's talking to, because all Daedric princes can. But typically, when we see like talk to her in games, we never hear them in like a Khajiiti accent.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So I've had so we've got a little table here that we can compare our three favorites. So
That's
we've
true.
got a bunch of rankings to go over. So overall power. Who do we think has the most overall power out of Hircine, Moag Bal, and Azura?
Look, I'm gonna say Hircine overall power wise, he doesn't have a lot of overall power. Um,
Yeah.
when it comes to Molag Bal, he had the whole plane meld going on. That's
Yeah.
pretty powerful. And then
Mm.
Azura just creating and like modifying races the whole time. That's pretty
Yeah.
powerful too. So I think it's between the two of them for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I
After
agree.
reading you guys, I might be able to choose.
I think just because of how many times he is a threat, and even like in Elder Scrolls Online being the main antagonist and everything, I maybe side with more like Ball, being
Yeah.
just slightly stronger.
I think so because even though Azura has quite a lot of power, she doesn't. She doesn't
Comes
directly.
to the fact that the Dunmer entire people.
That is true. You got the
That is
entire
true,
Doma,
yeah.
but at the same time,
How many like
the old Nordic tribes.
just how many secretive cults there probably.
Not in the list.
Sheogorath, even though he wasn't here, he just outright wins. But between these two,
It's
No.
like all stuff like you'll be walking on and there's a giant's been kidnapped from his ice castle and stuff. And just like, what?
that is funny. The whole car thing. That is pretty goofy. Yeah.
So, I think we'll just put an honorary her scene, but truly,
Truly
Sheogorath.
Sheogorath, yeah. Just out of these three.
Badassery. I'd probably say either her scene or Moloch for that.
Yeah, like Azura isn't all for her like battle and all that kind of thing. She's more of the subtle things.
Yeah. The only badass thing she did was changing an entire race.
Yeah. Just out of spite.
Yeah.
I think Molag Bal is very like badass in some ways. Where he's just an overwhelming force of just warriors and Dremora and all that kind of thing.
True.
But then you've got like the whole lycanthropy thing, and like as bad as the companion questline is compared to like some fighters guilds stuff, they're still pretty badass.
Yeah.
And like the whole inner circle thing, so that's where I'm casting my vote. I might be a bit biased.
Yeah, and the fact that they like fill their blood up, but at the same time, there's a lot of vampire stuff with Moloch Bal.
Vampires as well.
True.
That's
Vampires are badass.
Yeah.
especially the whole vampire lord thing going on in Skyrim.
Oh, I will say for me, I'd probably choose her scene just because when I was 10 years old playing Skyrim for the first time, and then that moment when you find out the companions are actually werewolves, I was just jumping out of my seat.
Yeah, and when you get the power, it is like such a cool power to have. You know, like just
It is
raw,
cool.
just buff.
But at the same time, you also become a vampire lord in Skyrim as well.
Yeah,
True.
so it is a very tough one.
I
I think the honor that like her scene kind of has is badass, and the Reach folk as well.
Yeah.
They're just an out and out badass people living out in the wilderness, just surviving.
Can't you pickpocket their hearts?
The Briarheart, the Briarheart. That's from Hag Ravens.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with her scene as well, actually, given just his aesthetic as like this cool-looking hunter, the long spear and the deer head, as well as just his mantra of like rules of the wild and this honor, definitely gives him that like badassery that I'd go with personally.
Yeah, coolest artifact.
So, coolest artifact. So, Azora only really has her star and the ring's only in one of the games.
But
the
saying
star,
that,
useful, very useful.
Star is a very, very like it's one of those items. Even if I'm not focusing on Daedra quests in Skyrim, I will pick up that star because just recharging enchanted items and stuff it's just very useful.
Yeah, it's one of the Daedric artifacts I've used the most overall.
It's very practical. No, the Mace of Molag Bal is also
that mace
a very cool artifact.
Yes. It's also probably one of the most reoccurring of the Daedric weapons.
That's true.
Given it's in Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and online.
Yeah.
It's also just
held this.
It's been around.
I've actually got a theory on why all the weapons are really crap in Skyrim. It's because they've been used so much over the years that they've just been worn down to the point of normal weapons.
Yeah.
Due for a recharge.
Actually, right, when me and Mason were talking before this, we were actually talking about Umbra. So the way we brought up Sheogorath earlier, Umbra is kind of, not really, but kind of an artifact of Clavicus Vile.
Yes.
And I think that sword is just cool. Like the whole Umbriel thing with it creating a city, you know? And the way it just like takes over warriors' minds so that they are Umbra.
Which, may I say, for like the scary thing of like the city going around, you'd think it'd be mentioned more. That there's just a giant floating lich city that steals whole like counties' souls as it passes through.
yeah. Well, I think there is reference to it a bit. Like there's the tree. What's that tree? The sleeping tree or something in Skyrim. Sleeping tree sap. You know that stuff. Apparently, that tree is from Umbriel and it passed over if a seed fell or something.
Really? I wasn't aware of that.
So there is like some reference to it. Like it definitely happened.
I think it's mostly kept to the books.
Yeah, it's in the Infernal City novel.
And even then, the canonicity of the books, I think, is
up for
debate a little bit.
I think they're canon.
I like to believe they're canon as well, but I think
they don't conflict with anything.
True. I think it's just a case of some people don't consider them canon because they're by a third party or they're not by any of the lead writers. It's something like that.
Like I wouldn't consider all of Elder Scrolls Online to be canon, but that doesn't mean that some of the story stuff happening didn't happen.
Fair point.
Like it's just kind of the MMO perspective of like, okay, everyone's riding like flame Atronach horses, but like that didn't actually happen. There was probably just like 10 heroes or something in actual history.
How do you know? You weren't there.
Exactly, I wasn't there, but I don't think everyone was riding under like flame Atronach guars around the place.
I was.
I was.
But that's just a separate thing. Yeah. I breed them. I've been training them for years.
It's just a regular guar set on fire, covered in dreg wax.
So, what are Hircine's artifacts again? Off topic.
Spear of Bitter Mercy, which is a spear in Morrowind. It's able to summon a Storm Atronach, I think.
Yeah, and he's got the skin armor
and Savior's Hide, which is just a really, really good light armor. It's kind of like fur armor looking, which is made out of his own skin.
I think he's also got the ring, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, the Ring of Hircine, which lets you transform into a werewolf.
So he's got loads of different artifacts.
Yeah,
by far. Does Molag Barlev have anything else other than the mace?
Not particularly. He has the rusty mace, but I believe that's just a different version of the mace. I think it's just a depowered version, if I remember. It's been a while.
So
I'll give a quick look.
But yeah, besides that, it's just maces.
Have you seen his avatar in Daggerfall? Actually, he's literally just a green devil.
It's just Green Man.
Just Green Devil Man.
Right. So should we vote for this one? Because I'm stuck between all three. Not gonna lie.
They all have really cool artifacts. Personally, like, I think Azura's Star, just because of how useful it is and just how cool it looks as well in Skyrim. Like, it's just one of those items that is cool.
And it's a staple of every Elder Scrolls now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think. So I think vote for Azura, coolest artifact then.
Yeah, definitely Azura's Star, just because it is just the most useful. We all use it all the time.
Everyone has got it at least once, you know.
Yeah.
Just for its practicality and the fact it's in most games, probably deserves a spot.
Now, in regards to like best stories and quests, all of these princes, like every single one, has a big chunk of a game devoted to them.
True.
So
Azura has Morrowind.
Yeah.
Hircine has.
Hircine has Blood Moon, and Molag Bal has ESO.
ESO, and in a way, the Dawnguard DLC of Skyrim.
Yeah, the Dawnguard DLC is heavily Molag Bal based. Even if it's not directly, it's like vampires are kind of his agents in Tamriel in a way.
Yeah. He would do that plot. Even though the plot of Dawnguard was the Simpsons Mr. Burn trying to block out the sun
Yeah.
plot.
You
That's literally what the plot
reckon
was.
Morbius was inspired by
The hit film.
the hit film
The hit
Morbius?
film.
Wow, this joke's gonna age well.
It is. People in like 2 years like come back to this episode and they're just like, what the hell are they on about?
Well, no, you see, we're going to predict the meteor cult following that Morbius
Yeah.
shall have.
Exactly.
So I saw it at the cinema. It wasn't awful. It wasn't very good either. Yeah, best stories and quests. Morbius wins.
Morbius.
Morbius bile.
Morbius file.
But
Yeah, I think just because I really like the game, just from the main story, Morrowind with Azura was very cool.
Yeah.
I can't speak on behalf of Blood Moon because I haven't gotten to play it yet.
I will say it's more traditional fantasy, Blood Moon.
Yeah.
So with Morrowind, it's a really alien landscape, and it's something. It's really strange. Whereas Blood Moon, it's a snowy area full of trees. You're fighting wolves and bears and stuff and monsters. There's like mead halls and things you go through, and then like the Hercine's plot is where basically people keep disappearing throughout the world,
Yeah.
and like you try to figure out who it is, and obviously it's Hercine. He wants a new hunt.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really turn up till the end.
He also looks really cool from the images I've seen.
This looks really cool.
Yeah, so that's a really tough choice because they all have such great things. But I'm gonna have to cast my vote on Azura. I think Azura for me.
Yeah.
Now I've played. I don't know if I've probably played the most of ESO out of everyone here, haven't I?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, like Molag Bal. It's just kind of samey. It's like, oh, it just feels like Oblivion again, but Molag Bal instead of Mirror's Dagon kind of thing.
Well, like Bal is just a better Maiden's Day.
He is. He's just Mirror's Dagon, but not four arms from.
But we'll save that for later because
We will.
I've got something we're going to get onto after this for that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
best stories and quests. I have to vote Azora as well. Mason?
Yeah, not playing ESO and only really having Dawn Guard. Like, you don't really have Mayor's Dagon for like intrinsic, like smart parts. He is just sort of there for like evil to be evil. So
yeah,
I,
Molag Bal. He said Mirror's Dagon.
did I? Oh, sorry.
You did, yeah.
Sorry, he said Boethia earlier whilst talking about Azora.
That's happened a bunch. Oh well.
You'll have to excuse me. I have not had coffee today.
Ah, that makes sense.
That would explain caffeine withdrawals.
But yes, I'd probably choose Azura as well, just for her plot in Morrowind.
Yeah, okay. That's a nice unanimous vote there.
So yeah, so looking at the our ratings we have for each Daedric Prince, it appears Azora has won with Hercina at a close second, and Molag Bal at third.
Yeah.
But that's because of his overall power. So he's the strongest. But Azora's got the worshippers, the artifacts, and the story, whereas Hercine's got just badassery and sort of comedic elements.
He's the funniest out of these three, at least.
Yeah. Out of these three, yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like laughing at furries, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Except his fursuits are kind of a little more metal.
Realistic.
Yeah. Actual skin.
It is literally a head.
So we've all agreed now that Azora's our favourite Daedric Prince. Now, I'd like to introduce what our least favourite Daedric Prince is.
Oh dear.
And other than the obvious Maiden's Dagon one, which will be up there for all of us, I assume.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Meridia into this because I hate that quest in Skyrim with such a passion.
Yeah. Whenever I see that beacon in a chest, I cry.
It's like a new hand touches the. I can't stand it. And the actual quest isn't very good either, in my opinion. It's just fighting shadows. It's just, ugh.
Yeah, and they're also like really strong.
I just can't. I do not like that vision at all. And it'll stick there in my journal for things to do, and I'll go, no, please.
No, I don't think I will.
Have you ever tried leaving it, not actually picking it up from the chest? It'll appear in like every chest afterwards.
Oh, I know, it's terrible.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And there'll be that one time when you press take all, and then you hear a new hand touches the beacon.
Not
Yeah.
again.
And if you're wearing headphones and your volume's up too high,
Yeah, it's
it's
oh.
mental and physical toll because your ears start to bleed. Yeah, I think for me, just because of there's like lack of real quests, I like they have Spellbreaker in Skyrim and stuff is cool, but like Periite is kind of just like boring. He's like the Daedric Prince of like Pestilence, but he's pretty boring. We don't hear about him a lot, you know, like when there's bad stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I know really anything about him.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just don't hear about him from the games. Um, like yeah, he's not that great. He's all about like natural order and pestilence and like and all that. Yeah, he's just pretty boring. So I'd have to say he's my least favorite.
Mm.
What are you missing? You got one? You got a least favorite?
For me, this might be a bit of a what's the word? Not liked one, but I'm not a big fan of Sanguine personally.
Right.
Oh.
What about the really fun quest though?
Well, that's the thing.
He has the best quest in the whole of Skyrim.
That is true. He does have like the funniest quest in Skyrim, but besides that, it doesn't feel like he plays that big of a role in anything.
Yeah, I suppose
He's
it's
sort of
because he's
just
kind of
there for most
mild
of the
though.
time.
Yeah, he's kind of mild. You know, he's just all about like hedonistic stuff. You know, like
He's just hedonism bot from Futurama.
he is just
Yeah.
hedonism bot. Yeah.
True. And I think it's just that mild mannered. Like, he's not really got any ambition to do anything big in any of the quests. It sort of just makes him a bit
all he wants to do
boring.
is drink and get people to marry hag ravens.
There's not really anything too interesting that I feel he can really do with him.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, he's again. He's kind of like Periite, where he's just not developed enough.
True.
Yeah, I think if we get some more quests and stuff for him, that'd be great. Because a lot of these days, like for Periite and Sanguine, one thing they both share is that they weren't in Morrowind. So we've only had two games to build them up.
Yeah.
If you don't count online, obviously. So we've only had 2 games worth of lore, whereas a lot of other ones have had like 4 games of lore.
Yeah.
Like Daggerfall and Morrowind, you know.
I would like to say I do want to see more content for these guys. It's not like a thing of like, oh, I never want to see them. It's a thing of the reason I don't like them is because there's not enough stuff for them.
Periite actually did appear in Daggerfall. And in fairness, they look really cool. But like again, there's just like nothing crazy about them. Yeah. Definitely need more development. Those Daedric Princes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, we've got anything else to add that we'd like to talk about, or
Definitely Mehrunes Dagon.
Oh yeah, well, of course.
Dagon conducts worst invasion of Tamriel. Asked to leave Oblivion.
Yeah.
It's about like he opens the portals, hits one city, and then just leaves them open gateways to his realm for people to walk in and kill everyone. I don't get it.
Really backfires when he goes to Blackmarsh.
And you know which big army defeats him? About 9 soldiers in Cyrodiil. Yeah. How did they take down the entire of Kvatch if 9 soldiers can stop them?
They had really, really bad soldiers in Kvatch.
Yeah.
And
also, just worship of him feels like a very bad long-term investment.
Yeah, because once like, you're on top,
they just rebel against you.
Yeah. He only shoots for the underdog, and when the underdog isn't the underdog anymore, he's against them.
Let's face it, the real villain of Oblivion was Mankar Cameron.
Mankar Cameron, yeah.
Had a cool voice actor.
Yeah.
All you see in Dagon is him, oh, I stomp on city, oh, and then beat by fucking Sean
And Cameron may or may not have been a Dragonborn ? But we can talk about that in another podcast.
He was wearing the Amulet of Kings, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, so we can discuss that in another podcast. But yeah, I think that's kind of all we really have to talk about today.
Who would win, Mehrunes or Argonians?
Yeah, we definitely have to talk about that as well.
Some scaled boys.
We should have a whole episode just on the military flaws of Oblivion. Because it's me.
Clearly did not read The Art of War.
Sun Tzu says, attack one city, leave open gateways to your realm.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than that, I think that's everything. Thanks again if you stayed this long through our podcast. Hope it wasn't too boring. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Shout out to our friends in Denmark.
Yeah, apparently like 4 people from Denmark listen to the show, so shout out to you guys. Thanks for listening. Yeah, see you again next week, guys. Thank you very much for staying with us.
See ya.